everybody, welcome back. It's Susan Lynn, Psychic Medium. Thank you for joining me today. Today is part 2 of our political questions that I got answered by my spirit guides. So if you're new here, thanks so much for watching. What I do is I ask your questions to my spirit guides, actually in real time, and they answer your questions, and I tell you what those are right here in this video. So this video was so long that I had to break it into 2 parts. This is part 2, and we're going to go ahead and watch that now. So thanks for joining me, and check it out. R. Dubé, curious about what will happen to the IVF clinics. It's a huge moneymaker, plus it's helped many couples. In vitro fertilization uses stem cells, which are, basically, they might actually use cord. They're telling me something about umbilical cord. Anyway, okay, this is really important because it's a moneymaker. And you would think that Disney is a moneymaker. When you can frame Mickey Mouse as a groomer successfully, we are not in Kansas anymore, people. Money is not the arbiter anymore, apparently, because Disney stock is crashing. It's going down. So I used to say, in the absence of every other kind of common sense, big business will rein in the Republicans. I used to say that. And then COVID came along, and businesses really couldn't stand up to anything. They weren't, invincible. They found out they weren't invincible. And now they're finding out that these Republicans can turn this small base into a real problem if they vilify you, if they point to you and say attack. So IVF is worth a lot of money, but Disney's worth more, and Disney's struggling. So IVF clinics, right now they're showing me that they'll make an exception. They'll make an exception. Remember how I said the Jewish community religion says that abortion's okay? So how is that going to work with Roe v. Wade being tossed out? And they said, well, they'll just make a little exception. It's like you have a line and then somebody draws a little line around the Jewish religion. Well, it's the same thing with IVF. There's going to be, apparently they're going to make exceptions to the rule. So Kyle Smith says, now that Roe is slated to be overturned, will they overturn same-sex marriage? And if so, will they ban it outright or leave it up to the states? It's going to be up to the states. Gosh, they're going to ban it. It's going to go to Supreme Court. Supreme Court's going to say, it's just, this is the dissolution. This is what the guides were talking about. How do you go back and tell people that are married legally that now they're not married? This is the dissolution. This is the chaos, the destruction. It's legal quagmire. They're showing me they may have to say, well, if you got married, you're married, but no one else can get married. They want to make it impossible for same-sex marriage. They want to make it impossible for you to have sex reassignment or to, trans surgery. They want to actually make it against the law for interracial marriage. I'm not kidding you guys. I'm not kidding you guys. They want all this. They want to go back to 1942. And they're putting all their money on those chips. And so I do think again, just like with Roe, there may be a period of time, of months, a span of time, whether it's months or a year or God hope not longer, where these things are banned in certain states. In certain states. Because the pushback that the Supreme Court has gotten with Roe, they will instead kick it all back to the states and let the states make these rules. Now, what's going to happen when you have a company that's in Austin, Texas, that's a big tech company, and their employees don't want to live in Austin, Texas, because you can't get, contraceptives. You can't marry your gay partner, your lesbian partner. You can't get sex reassignment. You can't marry interracially. Who the heck is going to want to work in Texas? Who? Okay? So it's the same thing with Disney, and not to keep harping on Disney, but it's the perfect example. Disney cannot and will not pick up its amazing Magic Kingdom and move to Ottawa or move to, New York. They're not going to do that. They've got to stay and fight. But meanwhile, they can't really fight. They're going to have to acquiesce. They're going to have to capitulate. They're going to have to sit down with their kidnappers and bargain. But these other companies are not going to have that ability because their workers can be more mobile. So again, dissolution, chaos, blowing everything up. Hopefully that made sense. Okay. Anne says, it seems like we are constantly repeating, are the same people who are causing so many problems in the Republican Party the same as they were during World War II? And are they reincarnated to come back again and cause more problems? I need an ice pack for my head. Well, yes, some of them are reincarnated. Like Miller, I swear, Stephen Miller is Stephen Goebbels or somebody. I mean, his energy is very Nazi to me. So some of them have reincarnated, absolutely. But let's look at this a little differently, Anne, shall we? Let's look at this a little differently. Let's say it like this. Earth, and the inhabitants of Earth, humans, have lessons to learn. Now, we did a great thing. In the 1960s, hopefully, a lot of white people joined with some black people and marched and got civil rights passed. We had Martin Luther King. We had a lot of great people that led us through that time. And we made big strides. Then we had the whole women's rights movement, right? Then we had the environmental movement. We established all these, the ERA and all of these governmental agencies to help, deal with these things. We established Texas voting was monitored because we were proven that we couldn't have fair elections until Trump got into office. Okay? So what they're saying is that we learned those lessons, but then they gave us the test again. So, when you reach a certification, sometimes you have to be recertified. Sometimes you have to go get a continuing education. We were tested again, and we failed. We are failing. We're going backwards. So, these people reincarnated to give us another chance to test us, to see, did they really learn their lesson? It's just normal. This isn't anything out of the ordinary. Apparently, ever so often, we're going to have these tests. Maybe in the future, we'll pass them easier with flying colors. But this time we did it. We've been failing this test for about 10 years, they're saying, 15 years. Basically, since Reagan, but before that. Does that make sense? Hopefully that makes sense. I don't know. And again, this is the guides. This isn't me. 1-800-SPIRIT Guides. Press 1 for complaints. Okay. Rebecca Davis says, thank you for the blessings. And she says she just saw Andrea's Lilac Lanterns Russia update on Putin launching 2 missiles at his own country, so he has an excuse to declare war on NATO. She said that a world war would not happen and it would seal Putin's fate. Her guides said not to worry. Everything would be okay. Can I look at it and see if this will happen? If it hasn't already by the time you air your program. Thank you and stay calm. Fantastic. Yes. Putin has a history of blowing up his own things. He blew up an apartment complex when he wanted to invade Chechnya, I think it was. He has a history of this. This is something very well documented. So yes, I do think that he will. He was outed. The United States intelligence outed a scheme of his to shoot down an airplane, a private, a commercial airliner. He was going to shoot down a commercial airliner. Okay. And people say that he's already done that happened, I think, with, some Finnish people on board not too long ago. Yeah. This is all stuff that he does. It's all been documented. I can totally see him launching 2 missiles at his own country. Absolutely. But he can declare war on NATO all he wants. He's at the end of his rope. He doesn't have the troops. He doesn't have the artillery. He doesn't have the military wherewithal to do any more than he's doing. Now, of course, he can send a nuclear bomb out. And I think they're reminding me that I read this, and this is brilliant. There's one Russia, right? But there's how many other countries that have nuclear arsenals? He sends one, we all send 12, 15. He's not that powerful, you guys. If he has to pick one country to send, or 2, to send his nuclear arsenals to. There's way more of us. He'll be gone. He'll be annihilated. It's not in his best interest to do that. So he's not going to do that. World War III is not going to happen. It's over for him. It is over for him. He is now a pariah. His country is a pariah. He will be like, North Korea, isolated. And Biden will continue to create new trade pacts with new partners that will isolate anybody that does business with Putin. He will also do that because creating friendly democracy trade pacts just benefits all of us. When China wants to support Putin, or, if somebody wants to support a rogue country, but they also give us a lot of the goods that we need, well, that doesn't really make us very militaristically sound. If we're going to depend on China for things that we need for our military, but yet China's backing our enemy, that doesn't make a lot of sense. So Biden is going to be outsourcing all of this stuff. So I agree with Lilac Lantern. I don't think this is going to be World War III. And I think everything is going to be fine. It's not fine for Ukraine, but we will help them rebuild, and we will support them. We really will support them. Ukraine is divinely guided and will be a leader amongst the countries, amongst the EU. They will. Okay. Nancy, New Mexico jobs expand due to Mexico shifting here from Texas. Wouldn't that be lovely? What she's saying is Mexico was going to send something through Texas. I think it was a train or trade. I don't remember, a train or something. And Texas made Mexico mad when Abbott held all the refrigerated trucks up at the border for his PR stunt. And it ruined a lot of produce and it hurt Mexico. So Mexico said, fine, we're going to go over here and go through New Mexico instead. We'll give them our money. So yeah, it's going to help New Mexico and it's going to hurt Texas. Absolutely. And again, why are these Republicans doing everything they can? You know, the last video I did, the spirit guide said, Republicans are shooting themselves in the foot, one toe at a time. One toe at a time. It's just ludicrous. But they believe their own malarkey. They truly believe their own malarkey. They do have a powerful base that can impact companies like Disney. And that's what they think. They're all powerful. They forgot about the rest of us, you know? And there's more of us than them. Jacarande says, how does Ashley Babbitt view Trump in the afterlife since she got killed storming the Capitol and gave up her life? Was it worth it? What has she learned? What an amazing question. Ashley Babbitt is the one that stormed the Capitol and got shot after she broke a window and was trying to get into the chamber with all of the lawmakers. There's a lot of remorse. She has a lot of remorse. She threw away her life. She was, what do you call that? She was, brainwashed. She was brainwashed. She was, she's angry. She's an angry person. Okay. I think she was an angry person before this, meaning that she could be triggered and she could have an anger, a real temper. She's still angry. Now she's mad at everybody. She's still mad at the Democrats. She hasn't changed her view. But she's mad at Trump and the Democrats. She's mad at everybody. She has remorse for listening to any of them. She feels used. She feels used. And indeed she was, but nobody told her to go to that window. You know, a lot of those people stayed in the hallways. I mean, she's the one that needed to go right up and break the window. Hopefully that makes sense, Jacarandi. There's more there, but I don't really have the time to get into it. But thank you for your question. Alocat says, this whole thing seems very dark. I guess she's talking about Roe. My question is why? Is there a correlation between the south of the border separated kids that we shipped out of state, missing girls, forced hysterectomies, private adoption agencies, Betsy DeVoe and Jeff Epstein crowd? They don't care about the kids, so what's in it for them? Money. Blocking birth control will result in more unprepared moms. What happened to those kids? She basically just went on a rant. Yeah, that's just like a rant. I don't even know if I can answer your question. It doesn't make sense, you guys. This is what I'm trying to say. Listen, can you understand a robber? Can you understand somebody that steals for a living? Probably not, because you don't steal. So you try to understand, why do you do it? And they say, well, I take stuff because I can. I know how to break into houses, and stuff is valuable and I need money for it. And you say, well, why don't you get a job? Well, because I like this. This is my job. Are you going to understand that? You're never going to understand it. Never. You're not ever going to understand Betsy DeVos. You're never going to understand Jeffrey Epstein. I promise you're never going to understand it. Are there connecting dots? Yes, there are connecting dots, but not the way you think they are. I don't think. I'm going to leave it at that. But I get it. There's definitely connecting dots here, folks, and it's all going to come out. We're going to understand it more to the degree that we can. Okay. Gail Ziegler says, can we trust FBI Director Wray, especially after the thing with Kavanaugh? Not sure why he's still there. He has information. He has information that Biden is using. Believe me when I say Biden is no pushover. He's no dummy. If this guy is there, he's there for a reason. Another person that makes me furious is Flynn's brother, who's a general in charge of the entire Pacific Theater. Why? You know, I'm telling you, if these people are there, they're there for a reason. They're either being used or set up. They're there for a reason. I can tell you that. It's complicated with him, with Ray. I don't know. It's complicated. So, again, this stuff is we're gonna learn more. We're gonna learn more. Susan Robinson says, do the guides think we will learn the leak's name? I wonder if it's Thomas's wife. So I just talked about this. Golly, they just told me about a tell-all book. Are you guys fed up with these journalists that are learning the information and then withholding it until they can cash out on a book? I mean, I guess they figure they're not getting a paycheck anymore. Journalism is, newspapers don't pay anybody anymore. It's, anyway, I already talked about this, and if this is in 2 videos, which it very well might be, watch video 1, because I do talk about this. The leak was done by a clerk who was instructed to do so by a Republican operative for the better good of the Republican Party. Yes, it does damage SCOTUS, the Supreme Court, but it was ordered. Now, Thomas's wife is the kind of woman that would know the inside scoop. She would know the dark secrets. She can be trusted, they're saying, with the dark secrets. And so she very well may know, because she, what is that word they use? She, when you, I don't know. It came and went too fast. She works in the darkness. Okay. So she may know the leak, but the leak wasn't one of the justices. I can promise you that. Thank you for your question. Andrea Marie 92 says, what is causing the number of deaths and suicides on USS George Washington? Over the last 12 months, 7 naval officers have died, 4 by suicide. Beginning yesterday, 200 have been removed from the ship. This is not unlike what is happening at the Army base in Texas that has had multiple killings, abuse, terrible. It boils down to, it's a lot of talking. In Texas, the leadership was not prosecuting abuses. So abuses were rampant. Okay? It's the same thing on this ship. The leadership there is not prosecuting abuses. So you have officers that are participating in abusing people. Terrible, dark things. And so some of these suicides are genuinely suicides. Some of them are murders. 7 have died, 4 by suicide, and they've removed 200 from the ship. These bases are like ecosystems. And it's very easy for a contaminant like abuse to spread like wildfire. It just spreads like wildfire. So, that's what's happening. That's what's happening there. There's no leadership. The leadership is not culling and reprimanding and charging the junior leaders that are perpetrating this. And then everybody's in on it. And once you're in on it, you're an accomplice. You're an accomplice. And you didn't choose to be in on it, but they made you in on it. And now it's just like the mob. They make you go do a hit so that now your hands are dirty too. You're one of them. It's exactly what's happening here. The question should be, when is this going to get remedied? When is this going to, well, Biden is going to, they removed those 200 people. Biden is going to dry dock that ship. He will dry dock that ship and take everybody off of that ship. Biden does not play. This other stuff in Texas happened under Trump, and Biden is the new sheriff in town, and he's not going to allow this. He will get to the bottom of it. Thank you for your question. Equus 3333. Thank you for your question, and I'm doing great. Thank you. Number 1, she says, I think I already answered it, which is Roe leaked because of 1/6 trials. Will the Roe noise damage DC trials? Yes, exactly. That's what they said. They dropped a bomb to set off all the bombs that were laid for them. So now everybody has a bomb, not just them, but everybody's got a bomb. And so it's just meant to provide chaos. It's not going to damage the DC trials. I don't see it damaging anything. I do think that it might cause the Democrats to take their eye off of the ball a little bit, distraction. And that's definitely something they wanted to happen. But the Democrats will circle back around. They're not going to be distracted for long. Oh, and then her next question was 5/9. So the 9th of May in Russia is a historic holiday having to do with the war, and they celebrate it. They apparently Russians really celebrate this. It's like a time when you really can drink a lot of vodka, let's just say, and there's a big parade and all of that. And she's asking, will Russia do more damage, or are they too weak? They're not weak in the sense that what they have is artillery, and they can just lob bombs. But where they're in trouble in the next couple of weeks is that United States and other countries have sent new weapons that are aimed at taking out their anti-aircraft and anti-missile artillery. So we will now like I'm Ukrainian all of a sudden, they will now be able to answer those bombs, that artillery, with defense. They'll be able to defend themselves better. Something I want to mention, just so that you guys hear about this, because it's out there, but I don't think it's out there. Russia will likely parade Ukrainian POWs at this parade. They will likely march POWs in front of Russians and on TV and Putin at the parade. Apparently, they've done this before. They've done this. This is not their first war with Ukraine, and they've done this before. Just so you know, this has been done before. This is in Russia's playbook, and they've even apparently taken Russians and put them in Ukrainian soldiers' uniforms, which they had made, fake ones, to use that in the past. They've actually, who does this remind you of? Trump paying people to be in his stands at his rallies. Putin pays people to be in stands at his rallies. Putin pays people to put on Ukrainian soldiers' uniforms and pretend to be POWs. One and the same, people, one and the same. I don't think they're going to do too much more damage. I think that what they'll do is do a false flag. They'll bomb themselves on May 9th. They'll bomb themselves on May 9th because they need to keep ginning up the fear of their own people to keep their people complacent and in line. Her next question is, will 45 retire before 7/22? Before July of 22? I'm not sure what you mean by retirement. If you mean if he'll be put in jail, and I don't know why July. I'm not sure if I understand that question. Listen, 45 is going down. Do yourself a favor. You want to do something fun this weekend? Look up on Google, look up on YouTube, a video of Trump from the 90s, or even a video of Trump from the early 2000s. Watch him. Then watch him from last year. You're going to see very clearly the cognitive decline. It's absolutely amazing. Amazing. So listen, this guy's on his way out. He's on his way out. He's going to be sidelined. He's not going to be a player. We have worse to worry about. I'm worried about DeSantis. I'm worried about, Musk. I have other people I'm worried about. I'm not even worried about Trump. But that's just me. Right. And she says she also wants to reassure young women regarding Roe. Many of us have been through this. I know it's frightening. We will have a solid Roe eventually. Until then, we will all help each other. My state is welcoming women who need care. Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Even Canada says that you can go to Canada and get an abortion if you need one. So, this is dissolution. This is blowing up what's going on so that we can make it better. Thank you so much, Iquus. Joanne Hall says, hi, Susan, asked about will Matt Gaetz be charged for sex crimes, and will his wife stand by her man? He's another one, right? He's another one. Yes, he's going to be charged with sex crimes. I really don't like how this is coming out, but this is the truth of the matter, and this is what they're telling me, and I just have to tell you what they're telling me. Once again, dear folks, in Texas, our attorney general, who is the highest attorney, the highest lawyer in our state, has 5 or 6 federal indictments against him right now, and he's running for office right now. So when I asked, will Matt Gaetz be charged, they said yes. Now, I guess what we really need to ask is he really going to go to jail? Because I don't know why our attorney general is still running around free, to be honest with you. Federal indictment is a big deal. And that's like 6 years ago. What is that about? So you understand how these Republicans keep bending the law and never seem to be held accountable. It is extraordinarily frustrating. So Matt Gaetz, he's going down for something else, you guys. I hate to say this too, because it's almost like a crime against a woman is not enough. I swear to God, that's what it seems like. When I read the energy, it seems like, yeah, so what? Crime, so what, he had sex with underage women. Yeah, they all do that. Okay, so I don't think that's what's going to bring him down. This joker has done something with money. And we all know how the judicial system feels about money. It's serious. So he has done something that's going to get him in trouble that has something to do with money, with lying about money, receiving money. It could be campaign money. It could be laundering money. Could be laundering money. This is for entertainment purposes only, by the way. He could be laundering money. Now, I think that it won't be direct, but I think he'll be implicated. Implicated is the word. So he's got problems, you guys. If I was Matt Gaetz, I'd be getting a better attorney about right now. And I would shut the heck up. Okay. Hurricane Force 1 says, will there be disruptions at the voting polls in 22 and 24 because people are not allowed to vote? Absolutely, there are going to be disruptions. I just talked about that. 24 people standing in line for 24 hours. Absolutely, I talked about that. Will there be arrest or charges by the time of the televised Jan 6 committee? Or are they going to present the information and just let these people walk free like nothing happened? Okay, guys, the Jan 6 committee, the televised Jan 6 committee is only a dog and pony show. It's an important one because we get free airtime to prove how these people are thieves and villains and not to be trusted, and certainly not to hold elective office. So nothing is going to happen as a result of the Jan 6 TV, except for that we're going to shove it down the American public's throat that these people are criminals. What's going to happen is when these charges go before the federal grand jury, so they're two different things. They're just two different things. Okay. They're not going to be let free like nothing ever happened, but nothing is going to happen to them because of the TV televised Jan 6. Okay. There's no teeth in that is what they're telling me, but don't mistake that. The important thing here is that the judges, the federal judges that are going to try these cases are going to monitor the temperature of the American people as they watch this Jan 6 televised hearings. And if there's outrage, then these federal judges will be more likely to bring charges against these people and hold them accountable. If it's ho-hum, who cares? We don't care about this Jan 6 stuff. We don't care. If that's the case, then it's going to be harder for the judicial system to stand up and do the right thing. Again, not my opinion. Call 1-800-SPIRIT Guides. Press 1 for the complaint department. Okay. Biscotti Luigi says, when will Brett Kavanaugh lead the Supreme Court? And will we find out who paid off his debts? Well, yes. So his debts were paid off by his parents, but his parents got paid back. And I think there's a timeline break between those things. So it's like they cleansed the timeline. So if Brett Kavanaugh's parents got a loan backed by a bank, that all looks kosher. But then you find out later, 6 months later, that the bank loan was paid off by a money that came from a Swiss bank. But that 6 months is supposed to throw off people from putting those two things together, or a year. Okay. So there's a disconnect. Okay. Does that make sense? But yes, I do think that it will come out. They're showing me dirty laundry will be aired. His dirty laundry will be aired for everybody to see. And his dirty laundry has stains on it. That's what and he's horrified that everyone is seeing his stained dirty laundry. It's not starched white shirts. They're stained. Okay. So yes, we will see that. I feel like Brett Kavanaugh is one of the people that could really be leaving the Supreme Court. I think Brett Kavanaugh, I think Thomas, and I think Amy Coney Barrett. And I have to tell you that Spirit works in mysterious ways. So I can't tell you how it's going to happen, why it's going to happen, or maybe even when it's going to happen. But it could be, this is something they're talking about right now, which personally I've never subscribed to. Okay, I've never subscribed to this theory, but obviously Susan could be wrong because the guides are talking about it right now. If Trump is deemed an illegitimate president, they may go back and yank Brett Kavanaugh and Amy Coney Barrett right off of their seats. Now, can you even imagine that happening? No. But could anybody ever imagine a leak of the Supreme Court decision? No. Obviously, it's back to that dissolution, tearing down of everything, tearing down of our society, tearing down of our institutions. Okay? So one way that could happen is that Trump is declared illegitimate. Thomas is stubborn and he's just like McConnell. He's not going to back down. He's not in Macaulay. I mean, not Macaulay. Interesting that I said that though, but Cawthorn, he's another one. Cawthorn should step down. If you guys haven't seen the video of Cawthorn, Google Cawthorn video, but don't blame me if you have to pour bleach in your eyeballs. Okay. He should step down, but he's not going to. He believes his own BS. How many times have we said this in this video? The Republicans believe their own malarkey. They believe they're above the law. Cawthorn took two times he took loaded guns on an airplane. At least 2 times he's been caught driving without a driver's license or expired tags. He's not paid for any of these things. There's a video out with him with his cousin, with a man, in which the cousin touches his crotch. There's another video out with him, with his cousin, doing something in bed. Sometimes the man is referred to as his cousin. Sometimes the man is referred to as his staffer. He's also been caught paying his staffer $40,000 more than is customary to any other staffer, and they're investigating that too. Cawthorn has all this against him. Did I mention that he was also photographed wearing lingerie? Okay, all of this against him. And I don't care if he wears lingerie. I don't care if he's gay. What I care about is that he vilifies the LGBTQ community and votes against them, when he himself is doing the very same thing he's voting against. He's a hypocrite. Okay, so he's not stepping down. So the problem is these people just don't want to step down because no one can make them. Those days are over where people step down when they embarrass themselves. Now they embarrass themselves and they say, so what? What are you going to do? They're bullies. Okay. Michael Smith says, will the federal minimum wage ever be raised anytime soon? It's far too low at only $7.25 an hour. I totally agree. I do see this happening next year. We're going to win back more seats with the House, more seats with the Senate. We're going to, again, address Social Security. We're going to address Medicare. We're going to address the minimum wage. I feel like they're going to bump it to $10 or $10.25 an hour. And that's still too low, but that's what I feel like they're going to do. Debbie McCarthy says, will the Republicans go after the LGBTQ rights next? I know that is another thing being talked about. I'm hoping this won't go that far, as I have family and friends this will affect, and I'm very worried for my grandbabies having their lives turned upside down. I agree with you. If you watch, I think by now this is going to be part 2. If you watch part 1, I addressed this. And yes, it's going to affect LGBTQ. It is. It's going to affect women that want abortions. It's going to affect everybody. But it's only going to be temporary. We're going to overturn this. We're going to get all of our rights and more back. But there's going to be a period of time when we don't have rights. This is important because it's going to turn out your grandbabies, if they're old enough to vote, it's going to turn them out to vote like never, ever, ever before. It's going to get any kids that just thought, my vote doesn't matter. It's going to get them to the polls. So it's going to have a fantastic unintended consequence. A good unintended consequence for the Democrats and bad for the Republicans. Kim Larson says, I see our democracy sliding into fascism faster and faster every day. What do your guides say? We do too. The guides see it happening too. We're really at a tipping point. Again, if you watch part 1, I talk about Disney. I talk about Disney being pushed around and being hurt by these fascists and these anti-gay, they're racist. They're just, anyway, fascists. But I don't see the fascism winning. I think that we get pretty scared. I think we get pretty close to really, the balance is off too much. I think we get close to the balance being way off, and America being living under a black cloud of fascism for some period of time. I don't think we're going to get there. There was a possibility, I'm going to tell you, there was a possibility in our timeline for this to happen, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think that enough of us have woken up and are waking up and will wake up and will vote and will stand for justice. And more importantly, we'll all stand together. We'll all, the Jewish people, the gay people, the black people, the white people, all of us, everybody will stand together, arm in arm, because we know that if they go after one of us, they're going after all of us. So when we all come together, that's when we can make a big change and save this country from fascism. Hiliz says, what's up with Jim Jordan these days? Will he serve time for his part in the insurrection? Okay, no. I just heard no. He's not going to serve jail time for his part in the insurrection. Again, not my opinion. Call 1-800-SPIRIT Guides, Complaint Department, press 1. He's not going to serve time in jail for his insurrection. He will quite possibly have his reputation ruined. He will quite possibly be run out of his elected office, which is at least something. Elsa Freitas, hi there to you as well, says, do you make predictions concerning Southeast Asia countries? I live in a very young democratic country in the Southeast Pacific with border with Indonesia called Timor, East Timor, okay? Can you see if this country will keep respect for democratic principles and if it will improve financially, economically anytime soon? As one of the poorest countries in the world with dependency on oil reserves. Poverty and democracy and transparency hardly work hand in hand. Poverty leans more towards corruption. I agree with you about all of that. East Timor. Yeah, you're very fragile. Your economy, your country, your democracy is very fragile. It's going to be helpful if you make a connection to a democratic country like Canada or the United States. And you very well could, because now people are looking for other resources to replace what Putin was supplying the world. So you may be able to broker a deal now that you couldn't before. Okay, so what they're showing me is, yes, it's like this. You kind of go up and then go up and then go up. So you'll have some plateaus. You'll have some periods of time where it's not straight up. It's not a straight line. Okay? It's going to be kind of up, down, up, down, up, down. But overall, if you were to take a picture of 10 years from now to 10 years forward, you would notice that regardless of the times when you weren't going up, overall, an upward mobility was attained. An upward direction was attained. So the advice is, don't get too depressed if you see backslides. I don't think you're ever going to backslide enough to go back where you were. Okay, so that's really good news. Congratulations. Take good care of yourself, and good news for you guys. Okay, Helena says, positive development in Ukraine. Will there be peace? Yes, there's going to be peace in Ukraine. There's already peace in many parts of Ukraine, and things are going to be back to normal by this Christmas. Most of Ukraine will be peaceful. I just can't tell you about what's happening in Mariupol, Odessa, down in the south and the east. It's still too up in the air for me to tell you. There's a lot of fighting there. There's insurgents there. And they're dug in. It's going to take a while for Ukraine to push them out. But eventually, I do see Ukraine becoming whole once again. Eventually, I do see that. It might take a while. These areas are dug in, okay? But Ukraine is already on the peace track. Okay? They're already on the peace track. King Warson says, will President Biden be successful in codifying codifying Roe v. Wade. No, he's not going to be successful. Let me ask again. Well, when you ask that question, King, I have to take into account that Biden is going to be president for, 2 more years. So he may not be successful this year in 2022. So I need to ask that a little differently. Will Biden be successful in codifying Roe v. Wade during his presidency? So that would give us 6 years, because I know he's going to be reelected in 4 more years. Him or Harris, one of them. Yes. Okay. Yes. Then the answer is yes. Okay. The answer is yes, just not in the next 6 months. I don't think in the next 6 months, but yes. Okay. Thank you for that question. Dusty Rose says, and hi, Dusty, good to see you. Will we have reasons to celebrate politically the July 4th this year? Oh my God, do we? Are we? I hate giving you guys bad news. Okay, so, no, not really. As a matter of fact, July 4th could look like complete and utter chaos. It could look like, all hell's broke loose. Again, we have to have dissolution. We have to break it all apart. We literally have to break it all apart before we can figure out what's wrong and fix it and then build it new. Okay? So I feel like this summer could be a summer of revelations, of revolutions, of just a lot of chaos. I mean, look, we don't know all the answers yet to what happened in Jan 6. We haven't charged these people yet. So until we do that, we're still going to be having these revelations. We're going to be figuring things out, finding things out. So that's kind of what I see happening on July 4th. Let's change that to Thanksgiving, American Thanksgiving. Are we going to have something to be thankful for on Thanksgiving? Yes. Yes, but it'll be ongoing. So these things that start in August, September, will be in panel juries or whatever that is. Then they might still be doing their thing in November, but yes, we will have things to be thankful for. We actually in Thanksgiving, they show us going, whew, wow, we dodged a bullet. Like we didn't even know how bad it was. We find out that we were so much closer to the precipice of falling over the cliff to fascism than we ever thought that we were. And we're like, woof, thank God. Okay? So we are thankful. Thank you for your question. John Reynolds says, do any of these judges get dark money in reference to Roe v. Wade? I did answer the leak question in the first video, and this is about, do any of these judges get money in reference to Roe v. dark money? Well, they do get dark money. Every time I say this stuff, I feel like I should cross myself. I don't know how to do that. Or I should get witness protection program. I swear I really do. These judges do get dark money. End of story. One word, Kavanaugh. But it's not well, there was a payoff apparently. There was a payoff to that aid that leaked it. But I talk more about the leak in the first video. And the leak was for a distraction, basically a distraction move by a Republican operative. The justices did not know about it, with the exception maybe of Jenny Thomas, who only knew about it because she's a gossip and she knows about everything. And she knows about everything in the dark. M.E. says, will Putin declare victory on May 9th? And will Russians leave Ukraine? They're going to leave Ukraine eventually, but not for a while, not for months and maybe even a year. And will Putin declare victory? Well, he will declare victory. He won't tell his people that they're moving out, but he will say that he's victory over Mariupol. Okay, he will say that. Britches and Stitches says, after this leaked opinion, will this finally show people how cruel and bigoted and nasty the GOP are? Yes, I think this is going to blow the GOP up. This is what I said in the first video. This is going to basically blow them out of the water. And it's not just one big explosion. It's explosion after explosion after explosion after explosion. These explosions continue all the way through to the fall. You're right. Absolutely right. Now, not everybody's the whole world, the whole United States isn't going to think that the Republicans are crazy. Their cultists are brainwashed. They're going to not believe any of this. But who we care about are the independents. Who we care about are the people who don't typically vote. That's who we need to convince to come over to our side. Thank you for your question. Karen B, I'm going to have to end this pretty soon. Karen B says, will Congress pass the student loan cancellation? I keep getting no. To be honest with you, I know people got mad at me about the last video. I said this in the last video. I don't see wholesale cancellation of student loans. I see maybe cancellation of 25,000, maybe cancellation of 50,000, maybe. But mostly what I see is Biden working with those loan sharks. The problem with student loans is not that people got student loans. The problem is the interest rate is so high that you end up owing more money. Even though you've been paying the rate that you've been paying your payment, 10 years later, you owe more than you did at the beginning. Because the rates are, mob Luigi style rates. They're not normal rates. They're not reasonable rates. So Biden is going to work to bring the rates down to, 2% or 3%, not 8% or whatever they are. Okay. So that's what I see with that. Now, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think so. Biden is not going to do this. This is what I see. Maybe he'll forgive 25,000. It'd be a surprise to me if he did 50,000, but he's really going to work on helping these people manage their student loans. Not give them more time to pay it off. Fix the interest rates. Okay. Daniel says, will my governor here in Michigan, Gretchen Whitmer, win? There's a good chance. I'm not going to say 100%. There's a good chance. Again, everything is blowing up. Remember, Congress is about to blow up. The Senate is about to blow up. The Supreme Court just blew up. This is going to change everything. And I really like her energy right now. She's getting in front of this Roe v. Wade thing. She seems very proactive. She's leaning into the energy. I like her energy right now. If she continues that, she's going to win. Yes, I agree. Yeah, I think so. Last question. Let's see if I can read it. Lillian says, I think if you can ask that with the wife of Thomas is the one who leaked the sources of the Supreme Court. No, she's not. She does know about it. She knows more than she should. Because again, she's involved in all the back dark channels. But she knows that it happened. She knows why it happened. She's an operative. She's an operative. And the person that leaked this was an aide or a clerk. And they leaked it because they were told to by a Republican operative who's different than Ginny Thomas. But Ginny Thomas does have information about it. So hopefully that answers your question. Thank you for your question. And here we are at the end of this video. Thank you so very much for watching. I really appreciate your support. I appreciate you watching these videos. Thank you for getting all the way to the end. Please understand these views are not Susan's views. These are the Spirit Guide's views. I'm reading the energy the best that I can. And the bottom line here is that Everything is going to be okay. We're going to go through a really upheaval type of summer. A lot of upheaval, a lot of revelations, a lot of surprises, a lot of shock. But we need to do that to be able to get through this so that we can tear it all down, put it all back together, and then we're all better. So if we can do this now, it's better. If we can even force this into a smaller timeline, it would be better. Because then we can build it all and come back and be stronger when Biden is running again. We don't want to drag this out. We do not want to drag this out. It's not going to be helpful to the Democrats. We have everything we need. The Republicans have gone berserk. We've got everything we need to take them to task and get rid of them. All we need is the Democrats to stand up and fight. Write your Democrats. Stand up and fight. Write your Democrats. Write your Democrats. Write your Democrats. Volunteer, donate, get involved. We have momentum. We have to keep going. We have to make this momentum count. Okay? Thank you so much for watching. You guys take really good care. Much love to all of you. We'll talk again soon, right here on this channel. For entertainment purposes only.